Hello my dreamy-eyed friends, and welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone had a lovely and wonderful and magical holiday. Fortunately, I did have a wonderful time with my family, but then you wake up on December 26th and it's over and the gifts are opened and right? Bummed. However, the holiday season is not completely over because just around the corner is New Year's Eve. I absolutely adore New Year's Eve. I think it's so fun to get dressed up to the nines and go out and have a great time and have champagne at midnight and do the whole thing. But what I'm also excited about is New Year's resolutions. Now, I know that a lot of people have really strong opinions on New Year's resolutions. People think, oh, well, you shouldn't just choose the first day of the year to make changes in your life, and I 100% agree. I think that any second of the day is a perfect time to make a huge decision to change your entire life. It doesn't have to be Monday or the first of the month or the first of the year. You can make changes for your life at any given second. However, the first of the year just happens to be a time when a lot of people just remember, like, hey, I want to make some changes around here. So, and because it is the beginning of the year, it is just a good chance to wipe the slate clean and say, you know what, I'm going into this thing and I'm going in hard. So I would like to take you guys with me and show you exactly how I plan out my year. And I know that sounds intimidating, but it's really not. We start off with looking at the big picture, like, okay, what do I want in my life long term? Like, what are my long-term goals? And these are things that could take years, even decades maybe, to achieve, like owning multiple properties or, you know, different things like that, or career-related things. But you have to know what you want in the long run and then work backwards to figure out, okay, if I want this in my life, what can I do this next year to get closer to that? And then what can I do this next quarter to get closer to that? What can I do this next week? What can I do tomorrow to get closer to those big long-term goals? So it takes something that's really overwhelming and you work backwards, you break it down into smaller and smaller and smaller manageable chunks, and then you know exactly what you're going to wake up and do tomorrow, and you're going to know that you're working in the right direction, and that eventually, if you keep up with it, you will get to your goals. So I find that very extremely exciting, especially as someone who has a lot of big dreams. I've always been a big dreamer. I've always had a lot of interests, and I've always felt a lot of pressure, you know, thinking, oh my gosh, what if I don't have time to do all of these things? Or, you know, what if I wake up 70 years old and I haven't achieved anything because there were so many things I wanted to do that I was just overwhelmed and I didn't do anything. So I know a lot of you can relate to that, and even if you're not a huge dreamer and there are just some simple things that you want to get done, it's analysis paralysis is still a very real thing for everyone. If you are overwhelmed, more than likely you're not going to take any steps at all. So follow along with me, get out your cute little journal and your feather pen, or you can do this digitally like I am. I typically write in a journal. I will write my daily and my weekly plans in my journal, but for the sake of this video, I'm doing it digitally because my handwriting is total crap. There's no way you'd be able to read it. But whenever you're ready, let's get started. Alright guys, so we are getting started with looking at the big picture. What are the big goals in our life? And if you've watched my videos, you know that there are 10 areas of our life, and each one of these areas needs to be completely satisfied in order for us to have a well-rounded dream life. So let's go through each one of these, and you're going to write down at least one goal per area. The bigger the goal, the better, because we're working towards our dream life, right? So I'm going to be doing this with you, and maybe what I'm writing down can give you ideas, but feel free to pause the video at any time to give yourself time to really think through these answers, because these are the answers that are going to dictate your whole year. Well, really, they're going to dictate the next 3 months of your life, because I do one of these new Plan With Me's every 3 months, and your goals may change, but these are the goals that we are going to be following religiously. They are nailed down for the next 3 months, so you really want to take the time to think through them. So for home, my big goal for my dream home is I want to live in my own apartment, and I also want to have properties in New York City and in Florida. Beachfront, to be precise. For my physical health, I want to be physically fit and I want to be healthy. That's pretty broad. For my passion, my big goals are I want to write and illustrate children's books. I want to write and publish novels. I want this YouTube channel to be successful so that I can inspire thousands of people. And I would also like to be involved in my other passions, which are history and animal conservation. For spirituality, again, this doesn't have to necessarily have anything to do with religion. It can, but it also has a lot to do with yourself, your identity, how confident you are, that kind of thing. So for my goals for spirituality, I want to enjoy my own company. I want to be super confident, and I want to figure out the best way to express my identity through my style and through my interior decor. I also do want to explore my belief system, because my belief system throughout my life has kind of been deconstructed as I've gotten older, and I'm definitely feeling some sort of void there. So I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. The next area is novelty, which in a nutshell means keeping your life fresh and not feeling like you're stuck. So my big goals for that is I want to be able to travel at least 3 times per year. But this can also mean like learning new skills, picking up new hobbies, things like that. For finances, my big goal is I want to make $10,000 a month, and I want to have a 6-month emergency fund for all of my bills and everything, and then I want to be able to work for myself and quit my job. Next is mental health. And my big goal for that is I want to be able to work through all of my trauma. I want to have mental clarity, and I want to have peace. For fun, I basically just want to prioritize fun, enjoy, and relaxation, and I want to make sure that that is a part of every single day. And next is community, and I want to find my tribe. I moved all the way across the country, and I lost a lot of my friends, and I just want to find a group or an organization that I can become a part of that just makes me feel like I belong and I'm part of something bigger than myself. And next is family, and I just want to have a safe and solid foundation for myself and all my family members to feel supported, loved, and vital to the group. Now, some of these that I've written down are very vague or they're very broad, but that's okay, because again, that's for like the whole life, right? So as we go through and we figure out like, okay, what can I do each week or each day towards making these goals a reality, then that's when you can get more specific. Like, for example, with family, for each week it could be, oh, I want to spend I want to go to dinner with my family, or I want to buy a gift for one of my family members, or, things like that. So don't get too caught up on the specifics and the details in this stage. Okay, so next is dream year. Now this is where we're going to look at these big picture goals that we have, and we're going to ask ourselves, what can we do this year to get closer to those goals? So here are 10 areas up again. Again, you can have more than one goal per area, but for this next year, I can start working towards raising my credit, saving money towards a down payment, and moving into my own apartment. Those are all very feasible things to do in 1 year. For my physical health, I'm going to establish a healthy eating and exercise habit. For my passions, it's totally feasible to complete 1 novel this year and to finish illustrating the children's book that I have already written. I already have the manuscript for it. And then I also am going to apply for college and start a history master's program so that I can find an online professor position, and that will help me to work from home. So the next is spirituality, and I want to learn to love living alone. That's very important to me, to feel independent, and I want to just feel like the woman that I imagine myself to be, which is very confident, very productive, and I want to take this picture of this style that I have and actually incorporate that into my daily life instead of living in leggings and t-shirts. Next is novelty. So I do want to travel 3 to 4 times a year, but there's no way in this next year that I'm going to be able to do that because I just don't have the income and the resources for that yet. But what I can do is I can take 1 trip, and I want to go to Disney World with my family. So I'm going to plan and save for that and hopefully take that trip sometime this next year. For finances, it's totally feasible for me to save 6 months of my bills in an emergency fund and maybe half of a down payment for a house. For mental health, I am going to continue the therapy program that I'm in. And again, I will take every chance I can to say this. There's absolutely no shame in therapy, and I honestly think that everyone should take advantage of it. We are all storing a lot of trauma and behaviors and things that are subconscious that are affecting our lives, so it's good to just work through all that, stop the generational trauma, and be our best selves. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox. I'm also going to continue to journal and to do a daily meditation. For fun, again, just making time for fun and joy and relaxation every day. For community, a way that I can find my tribe is I can go to meetups, I can go to different meetings for organizations and just try to see who I connect with and or which organization or which group I may want to fully get involved in. For family, I am just going to make frequent, meaningful connections with them in their love language. So that is going to be a big focus for me this next year, is figuring out what my family's love language is and being able to love them in the way that makes them feel most loved. Okay, so now that we have figured out what it is we can do this next year to get us closer to our goals, next I like to look at, okay, what can I do in this next 12 weeks? So if you're not familiar with the 12-week year, it was a book written by Brian Moran, and I highly recommend that you read it. The whole concept of the book is basically that if you plan out how you're going to work towards your goals within the next 12 weeks, you will actually get more done in those 12 weeks than others get in a full 12 months. So I'm going to be looking at what can I do between January and March of this year to get closer to those 1-year goals. So for home, for moving into my own apartment within the next year, I am going to save for the deposit and rent, and then hopefully move in March. For my physical health, I'm going to try to follow a low-carb lifestyle, make sure I'm getting my daily recommended veggies and fruits. I'm going to try to cut out the sugar, and I'm going to work out daily. To get closer to my passion goals, I'm going to apply to college. I'm going to finish the storyboard for my children's book layout and complete my novel outline. So those are the things that I can do to work towards finishing that novel within the next year and finishing illustrating my children's book within the next year. For spirituality, I'm just going to try to dedicate more time towards expressing myself through style and through interior design. And novelty, so working towards getting that Disney trip, I'm going to set the dates for the Disney trip and create a savings plan. So that is what I want to try to get done by March. For finances, by March, I would like to have saved 2 months of rent, as well as enough for furniture and other essentials for when you're moving into a new place. For mental health, I'm just going to continue therapy and my daily meditation. For fun, again, just making time for fun, joy, and relaxation every day. For community, I'm going to try to go to 1 meetup per month until I move, and then 1 per week after that. And for family, by the end of March, I'm going to figure out what each of my family members' love languages are. Okay, so we have our 12-week plan in place. We know what we want to accomplish by the end of March. And as you can see, it's kind of getting a little more detailed as we go. So next, you can do a month plan, what you want to do by the end of January. You're more than welcome to do that. However, I find that that just doesn't really help me much. I tend to just skip to my weekly plan because I've tried to kind of block out a month at a time, and it just seems like my schedule is too crazy and things just change so often that if I try to plan it out in a detailed way, then it ends up getting off track and I just get bummed out and discouraged. So planning out your month might be good for you if you want to go ahead and figure out like what appointments you want to have for the month, or if you're on Pinterest, you know, you see a lot of these posts that are like, oh, you should plan your month like this, where you have 1 breakfast with friends and 1 night out and 1 of this and 1 of that. So if you want to do that, be my guest, go ahead and do it. Just make sure that you kind of anticipate the fact that it's probably not going to go completely according to plan because life just kind of happens and gets in the way. But I am going to just skip to the weekly plan for me because that is just easier. So what I like to do is I like to list out my goals at the beginning of each week, and so I can see exactly what I want to do with the first quarter. And then with each goal, I decide, okay, what can I do this week to get me closer to that goal? So for example, I know I want to move to a new apartment by the end of March. So what can I do this week? Well, I can look for the perfect couch. I know that I want to create a healthy diet and exercise routine. So what can I do this week? Well, I can make a meal plan and I can go grocery shopping. I can make a list of colleges, I can do 2 storyboard pages, and yada yada yada. So it goes on and on. I just look at each goal and I decide what's feasible to do for this week. And then this is where having a weekly planner or a calendar or something really comes in handy, because you can take those activities and you can just plop them down. And you can either decide, okay, I'm going to go grocery shopping on Tuesday and I'm going to do my makeup tutorial on Thursday. Or if you're more like me and that kind of stresses you out to have things so laid out for you, you can just make a list of things that you plan to like incorporate during the next week. And then once you get to your daily plan, that's when you can pick from that list and decide, okay, this is what I'm going to do tomorrow. And you can do a mixture of any of these like tactics. If you want to plop in appointments for the next week. Like say, oh, I know I'm going to have therapy on Thursday, and then I'm going to go ahead and make plans with my friends to go to dinner on Monday and, you know, hang out with my mom on Friday or whatever. It is a good time to kind of get meetings or any activities that involve other people. You can go ahead and get those blocked in for the next week. And then for things that just involve yourself, you could either block those in as well, or you can just decide on a daily basis, okay, you know, tomorrow I think I have time to go ahead and do that makeup tutorial, or, you know, I'm going to go ahead and read a book tomorrow, you know, between work and dinner. So it's totally up to you how you want to do it, but this is how I do it. Another thing that I do is I like to incorporate a habit of the month. Research shows that it takes 21 days to form a new habit, whether it be a good one or a bad one, but doing it consistently each day, it just kind of rewires your brain and makes it so that whatever that habit is becomes second nature. So even on like a lazy day, you'll still end up doing that habit because it's just kind of ingrained in you to do that. So I like to have a new habit each month. And the habit that I want to start off the new year with is sketching for 10 minutes a day, because I'm really working on my art, and I know that it's like a muscle. If you don't use it, you lose it. So I really want to make it a habit to sketch for 10 minutes a day. So but it can be anything. It can be, I want to, you know, put my laundry up instead of leaving it in the basket, or I want to tidy up for 15 minutes a day, or I want to do a 20-minute workout every day, or I want to clean my dishes as soon as I'm done with them. It can literally be anything, but just choose one habit per month. And then the idea is that after a year, you will have 12 new healthy habits, and your life will just eventually, with time, just naturally be a healthier routine. Okay, so next we come to our dream day. So this is the daily plan, and we have taken our dream life goals and we have worked backwards and shrunk it down to figure out exactly what we can do tomorrow to work towards that huge life goal. So this is exactly how I plan my day every single day. I typically do it in a notebook, but I'm setting it up digitally exactly how I write it in my notebook. So you definitely don't need to have a computer or an iPad to do this. You can do it in any old notebook, but I'm going to go through each step of how I set up my daily page. So So the first step, which I think is honestly the most important step and should never ever be skipped over, even though it does seem redundant, is to write out all of your goals every single day. So these are my big life goals. These are the things that we started this whole thing off with, the things that get me excited about life, and just the things that like make you excited to wake up the next day. So these big goals are what I'm going to write down every single day to make sure that they're staying fresh in my mind. And that's what's going to keep me inspired. The biggest reason that people don't reach their goals is because they just forget that they want them. And that may sound weird, but you see it all the time. And once I have all of my goals written down, I'm going to write down what today's game changers are. So you can call them needle movers. I like to call them game changers, but they are the few things that I can do today to get me closer to my goals. So it's the very next step, and it can be the smallest baby step imaginable, or it can be a huge step. So you're going to look at what you wrote down in your weekly plan for the things that you want to get done that week. And then that is what you're going to pull from for your daily game changers. And what's really cool and magical about these game changers, and I honestly think this is the most magical part of the entire planning process, is looking at this micro baby step and seeing the direct link between that and the big goal. So, for example, searching for a couch leads to having 3 properties. And at first glance, you're like, I don't see the connection. But it is, because once I save up the money to pay for my couch, then I will be able to start saving up money for the rest of the furniture in my apartment. And once I'm done with that, I can start saving money towards the down payment on my actual house. So wanting to have 3 properties is a pie-in-the-sky goal, but there are 1,000,001 micro baby steps that need to be taken in order to get there. So look at your game changers and gather inspiration from that. You don't have to work towards every single one of your goals every single day, but you do want to make sure you're working towards all of your goals within a week time frame. Now, you want to try to get all of these game changers done. And honestly, the fewer game changers you have, the better and the more likely you are to complete them. But these are the things that you want to prioritize, that you want to make sure that you're making time for, so that you know at the end of the day, like, you are one step closer towards your goals. So after I have my game plan for the day and I know what steps I need to take, then I like to list some things that I'm grateful for. And a lot of people roll their eyes at this, but I have just learned that it's really, really important, and it makes a huge impact, just because practicing gratitude is literally rewiring your brain to view your life as just more optimistic, and it just highlights all of the good things in your life and kind of sends the not so great things to the background where they need to be. Next, I make sure I take a note of the habit of the month, which for this next month is going to be, I want to sketch for 10 minutes each day. So I'm going to make sure that I'm doing that for the day. And then after that, I have a section called Fun of the Day, and this is where I am tying in that goal to make time for fun, joy, or relaxation every single day, and I like to plan that. And I know it may seem kind of weird to plan fun, and it might seem kind of counterproductive, but I promise you it's not. If anything, it actually creates anticipation. So whether that's going to be practicing with my watercolor set that I got for Christmas, which I'm super excited about, or it could be any sort of me time, like going to get my nails done, or taking a bath, or going to the park and just laying down in the grass. Anything that is just purely for enjoyment and has absolutely nothing to do with being productive. That is the main thing here, because especially when you're working towards your goals, it's really easy to get into a mindset where you start feeling guilty if you're not being productive at all times, and that's not what we're going for at all. Like, the goal is to enjoy our lives, and that's why we're working towards these goals in the first place, because we know that achieving these goals is going to enrich our lives. But we absolutely have to make sure that we're making time for pure joy. So we go ahead and plan that out for the day. And then I just have a section for notes, and this can be anything, that you need to make a note of. And yeah, so it's just a little section for anything that comes to mind. Okay, so this is everything in a nutshell. This is exactly how I plan my day. And I just want to say that I am not perfect. I try to plan my day every single day, but does that happen all the time? No, of course not, because I'm a human being. But I want to emphasize the importance of not having an all or nothing mentality, which means that you know, if you miss a day, don't just assume, oh, I failed and I'm just going to drop the whole thing. Don't do that. Just pick up where you left off. Even if you go a week without planning, that's fine. Just make your weekly plan and then carry on and do your daily plans after that. Because to be honest, you guys, if you are even doing 50% of this and working towards your goals 50% of the time, you're still going to be way ahead of the curve of people who are not doing anything at all. Because to be honest, most people aren't working towards their dreams at all. So just pat yourself on the back and, you know, give yourself some grace period. So just pat yourself on the back and be grateful that you are actually working towards your goals, because seriously, that's huge. And have fun with it, because that's the whole point of this, is to enjoy your life. So good job, you guys. I would love to know what your goals are if you want to drop them down in the comments below. And I'm going to try to do a plan with me every quarter, so that you can follow along and we can try to keep each other accountable. But have a wonderful and safe Happy New Year's Eve, and I will see you in the new year. Bye, guys.